I want to move to another load board. I just want to show you guys the difference in the way that the load boards are set up. So this one is Selectus. If you are familiar with box trucks, you'll hear a lot of box truck owners talk about Selectus. Selectus is well, when I first signed up, it was all I saw was box truck loads. Now I do see total loads out here as well. So let's just say I am going to go under orders and I just want to see what they have. I'm going to, well, I already have the date in here for June 8th, which is today. So it brought up everything that's still available. And you'll see it's a nice size list. Here, you're going to see who the broker is. You're going to see again what their days to pay is. And you'll notice that here on Selectus, they don't do DTP. They actually spell it out. You'll see the credit score. You'll see their saver rate. You'll see exactly under here if there was a reference number. The load type is telling you what type of equipment they need, which is a small straight, which means a small straight truck, probably 16 feet. And then the broker MC number is listed. The order number is going to be next. They have their pickup time and date. So they are picking up in Franklin Park, Illinois. They want it picked up. And of course, I'm so glad this example is here. It's in military time. So make sure you remember that in the trucking industry, everything is military time. Okay. Moving over to the delivery time and date. It's listed here for Lansing, Michigan, and they want it tomorrow at 9 a.m. This is going to tell you when this was posted and when it expires. So they're saying that this load was posted at 6:40 and it's going to expire at 7:08 today. And that's going to be Eastern Standard Time. Again, for vehicle size, they're telling you that it's a small straight truck. The load will be 236 miles. There's going to be the PCS is pieces. WT is weight. So there are 16 pieces in this load and the total weight is 6,500. So if you wanted to call on this, you would contact the broker. Again, checking the credit score, checking their days to pay. And then I always go a step further. If it's a brokerage that I've never used before, I always just type their name out in Google and see what comes up. If they have bad reviews, good reviews, those will appear. If they have a website, that information will appear. If they recently got their MC number, again, that will appear. So it's just a lot of ways that you can use the different resources just to cover your tracks to make sure that you're doing everything you can do to ensure that this is a legitimate broker. You're not being double broker or in some cases, triple broker.
Wrong. It's saying that it needs to be picked up as soon as possible. This is sticking out to me like a sore thumb.
Mm-hmm.
So that means we can go in and ask for a large amount. They need this load picked up ASAP. So it means that the receiver is past the receiving date and the receiver really needs this freight as soon as possible. So if in fact your driver is in that area, I will be calling on this load either tonight or first thing in the morning. And when I say first thing in the morning, I will be calling on this at 7 a.m.
Yes.
I will be calling on it because they need this load picked up and you can negotiate a really, really good rate.
Yes.
But the only thing that's going to also stick out like a sore thumb, and this is where I would call my factoring company, is the credit score. Mm-hmm. The credit score is a 77%. So I'm going to contact my my factoring company and see if this is a good person to book a load with before I even call. But if in fact the credit score was like a 98%, I would definitely be all over this as soon as possible. And I would also be asking about if they have any additional loads like this on a regular basis coming out, especially if they can negotiate with me a pretty good rate.
That's a great point. And that makes me think of another point, Angela. Let's say you are a dispatcher and you're calling on this load and let's say it's booked, but you're talking to the broker. Get his and her name, get their telephone number as well as their email address, because this is a great opportunity for you to network with that broker and say, hey, I have a driver that's always in this area at least once a week. If you ever have this load in the future, please give us a call instead of posting it on the load board. And then I would follow that up with an email to say, hey, I just spoke with you about the load from California going to Carefree, Arizona. Again, keep us in mind. And I would send all of my contact information. Again, you're building your network of brokers up. And in the future, they may just reach out to you directly instead of posting on the load board or contacting any other carrier or owner operator.
And this is how you get, just like Janice says, this is how you get on the broker's distribution list. You're on there they're gonna send out their weekly loads. So you'll see what they have in play for the whole entire week. Janice does a little bit different than I do, but it's just based off your driver and your carrier. If you know you got a good carrier and they're gonna be there on time, and you know the shipper and the receiver, you can probably forecast booking them one load out. But if in fact your driver is always late, there's always issues, there's always drama, then I suggest not booking your driver until they bump the dock at the receiver. That's when you're gonna have to, already have been on the load board, probably starting at 7 or 8 o'clock at night in the morning, trying to find what loads are available, starting from where the driver is, the origin, the destination where the driver is dropping off at, to find what's going to happen later on in the day.
Great advice. And I actually second that. I totally agree with Angela. When I first started dispatching, I would dispatch my drivers out for a week at a time. And then again, like Angela said, I had to get to know each driver individually. And in some cases it worked. And in some cases it will never work because they're late. Anything can happen at the receiver or the shipper where they can't get in and out on time. So you have to make sure you keep all of those factors in mind. So I mentioned that the big brokers have their own load board, and this is TQL, Total Quality. If you are in the industry, you will be very familiar with this name. I'm already logged into the system. So what I do is go under loads and go under search and quote. And it's thinking. I am going to say, I'm going to leave, well, no, I'm going to put in Atlanta here as my pickup. Well, you'll notice it here, they just have pick. So I'm going to say Atlanta, Georgia. It's going to automatically fill in the state once you select the city, your radius or your deadhead. Again, each load board is different. So this one is set at 150, but you can change it by selecting the drop-down menu. I do not like the deadhead more than 100. In this case, I'm just going to select 100. For the drop city or the destination, I'm going to leave blank. The pickup date, I have it set for today. So it's going to pull anything that picks up today and after. You don't have to have an end date with Total Quality. For the trailer type, you can select here. I have a van, which is a dry van, 53 foot. Trailer size, they have two options, 48 foot and 53. I always select all because I want both of them to show. I don't put anything in weight, and then I click on search. Now, once that gets done thinking, it's going to show any available loads they have coming out of Atlanta, Georgia. And this is how their load board looks. It's going to show the post ID. Whenever you call Total Quality, if you have not had the pleasure of contacting them, they're going to always ask for the post ID. Even the automated system is going to ask you for the post ID. So you want to make sure you always have this handy. Here's the pickup city and state, the date, the destination or the drop, city, state, and the date. If you click on the arrow here, it's going to give you additional information. This load, in my case, doesn't, in my opinion, I'm sorry, does not have a lot of information because I like to see the mileage and the weight. Any additional comments, I like to see that information here as well. But they're telling you that this is going to be for a van or a reefer, a refrigerated van. They need it to be 53 feet. There's 1P, one pickup. There's D1, which means one drop or one delivery. The mileage, let's just say if it said 730, it would be listed here. They usually have the weight listed here. Drop deadhead. It's telling you who the broker is, which is Todd. They're telling you the commodity is dry food. So let's just say you are a dispatcher. You can either do one of two things. You can contact Todd and give him this post ID, or you can click on quote and it'll give you the option to quote on this particular lane. You can type in any amount that you choose. You can list your telephone number. And then if you have any special comments, you will list those here. So what I usually do in my comments is I'll ask, are there any type of supplies that are needed on this particular load or lane? That way, upfront, I'll know what it is. I don't have any surprises when I get the rate confirmation. Once I hit submit, my request is sent to Todd, and then you'll receive an email stating that it was submitted. Todd will reply to you via email or either give you a call.
If you do so happen to pull this up, and this is something that is going to meet your requirements for your carrier, before you call Todd, you should be figuring out what the total mileage is before you, and you can do the mileage by putting in the zip code, and it'll let you know zip code for origin and destination. That way you already have that in mind. Also, you should already know what's going on in Chicago as far as if we have to pass over any type of bridges or tolls in Chicago. That's going to play a factor as well into your rate. As far as it being on a drive-in or a reefer, if it's going to be on a refrigerated trailer or if it's going to be on a drive-in, you might want to confirm what the weight is, or you might want to confirm with your carrier before calling. What is the maximum weight you can carry on your refrigerated trailer? Because Todd may tell you the weight of this particular shipment is going to be 43,000 pounds. Your driver is going to say, I cannot carry more than 43,000 pounds on a reefer. So then that way you know what you're up against and if you should continue on with the negotiations.
Great advice.
Janice, if you can just open up something coming out of Chicago on the 10th of June, we can see what's going on, what's coming out.
Sure. And I just want to add to that, if I saw that lane and I was interested in it, the only thing that I would be hesitant about is that the fact that they do not have the weight listed. So instead of hitting quote, I wouldn't do that. I would actually call them. That way I know for sure I'll get all of my questions answered instead of going back and forth via email.
And also you want to verify what type of dry food it is, because you want to make sure that it can be unloaded off the truck in a timely manner where there is not a claim. Okay, as you can see, this is the freight coming out of Chicago on the 10th. So your driver, I'm sorry, could you go up a little bit so we can see how many loads? Go back up. Okay, Total Quality doesn't show you how many loads that they have coming out this particular lane, but as you were on the DAT shows you, okay, you've got about 50 loads for this particular, coming out of this particular origin. That way I feel a little bit more comfortable quoting this one. So based on this, I know the driver is not going to get stuck in Chicago. So therefore I can go ahead and I can quote this particular shipment. But like I said, it's probably 1,000 miles, but I don't know the weight, as Janice said. So we got a lot of little holes in there. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to call the carrier, the broker. Also for this particular one, you're going to ask the broker, hey, what is your current going rate for this particular shipment? You want him to quote you first before you quote, because he can lowball you. He may be sitting on $3,000 to move this load. You may have said, okay, after I've done all my math, all I want is $2,000. So you left $1,000 on the table that you could have gobbled up. So sometimes you have to, call their bluff.
Yeah.
Surcharge. You want to get as many coins as you possibly can. If you see that the fuel has gone up this week, you want to play that into your conversation with the broker when you are negotiating rates. If the fuel has gone down, as I know, it goes down and it fluctuates. And if you call me and say, hey, Angela, I see your load from Chicago to Washington, PA. It's a little heavy on the load and the fuel has gone up, I'll come at you and say, no, boo-boo, the fuel has gone down this week, so I'm not going to give you too much of a fuel surcharge. You may be looking at an additional $2 or $3. I'm going to tell you, no, I'm giving you 60 cents. So now you can negotiate and haggle back and forth with me until we get to that happy medium of $1.10.
And we will let you guys go. We thank you so much for your time. You could be anywhere else today, but you chose to spend it with Angela and I, so we're grateful. So Watch us on YouTube. Send us any emails if you have a question. And again, take care of yourself.